is the Unconstitutional Awakening program.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Brought to you by KD Consulting Redesigned.
Ahoy there, mateys. It's time to set sail on another episode of Unconstitutional Awakening. This evening, I figured I would, Bandit and Neptune had some stuff going on this evening, so of course Luis is here with me, and Steven decided to come back and join us, and I found this, as per usual, you guys, I found another spectacular human being hanging out on TikTok. This guy's right here this is Teacher Bill. He, man, he's just out there putting positive vibes out there for everybody from what I've seen on TikTok. And, that's the kind of stuff I like. I've never been into this for the fanfare. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is me trying to give people that never really had a chance to have a voice, because I'm somebody that understands not having a voice being banned on a constant basis. So it's great to, help others do these kind of things. And I think that other people deserve the spotlight that most people don't generally, I guess, give that spotlight to, because that's what it's about, showing the world that more of us are like than we aren't. Because everybody that's been on this show and everybody that's regular on this show is pretty different walks of life. You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting thing, and that's what's great about this stuff over here. But of course, I also needed to, before we even really get into good things, I totally need to put the plugs in for the guys that I call my sponsors. But you guys, if you want to get real with it, I don't make a dime off these folks. I do this as fanfare for them. I figure if they're fans of us, I'm fans of them, and I'm out there trying to help other people make a buck. I don't do any of this for the money. Like, I put all the money into this show myself, but you can still check out my buddy Kirk Elliott, phd.com/jump up/ Kirk's into investments and stuff. And he's a guy that I've actually talked to and held plenty of conversations with, and know that he's a real guy. Like, he's out here against the things on like Wall Street and like all the insider trading and stuff like that. Like, he's a real dude trying to help people make solid investments, mostly in gold and silver. And as we pointed out here recently, silver's probably your best bet. It's better to probably invest in silver instead of have to go dig it up later underneath an X somewhere on a beach where you've had to hide it pirate style. But that's kirkelliottphd.com/Bob/. You can also check out Peachy Key Creations. She's totally doing all of the good stuff with soaps and healing crystals and stuff like that, and candles, and she does energy healing herself, of course. You can reach out to her on Facebook. She'll totally take care of you. There's just something else I believe in. We've had the energy healing stuff on conversation on here last night with Lowell. So this is kind of some steps into that direction. So you guys should really reach out and see what you can do, see what you can learn from her. And then my buddy over there doing survival cans inside of ammo cans, like Ammo Can Survival. He's a real good dude. He's back from vacation. He's looking for them orders from you guys. He's got ghillie suits and plate carriers and everything you need to survive who knows what. Reach out to him and give him, see what he can do for you. Everything's custom. And lastly, but not least, my new best friend over there at Homeschools Connected, Brett Pike. He's out here trying to give people a way to do something about their schooling compared to sending them to the indoctrination camps. There's so many people that have walked away from it and they have questions of what to do. Well, this is a guy to turn to. He actually has a lot of answers that even I don't have when it comes to trying to help people educate their children. So that's Homeschools Connected at classicallearner.com. He also has some children's books and stuff, man. He's a real good dude. And like I said, I found these folks and to me, they're fighting the system. They're anti-system. They're all people that have been silenced in their own profession because they're unique at the way that they do things. And I think that it is an opportunity to help like-minded people. So it's again, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's never been about the fanfare. This isn't a Jim Bob Oval Shorts show. It happens to be hosted by Jim Bob Oval Shorts, but this is a show for all you great people out there. So anyway, I do want to jump back into it though. How is everyone doing this evening? Luis, how are you doing over there?
Alive.
Are we still having a rough week already, buddy?
The fact that I have to deal with lawyers is just absurd.
Well, I'm glad to be somewhere that you can come and let your mind off of things for a little while and hang out with us and laugh a little. Steven, how are you doing out there this evening?
Just working hard, man, all day today, catching up from being off yesterday, sort of. So it's a good time. It's a good time.
Good. No, fantastic. Teacher Bill, is there, everybody else is already going to be a little familiar with everybody else that's on the show, of course. So I'd like to for the folks that are listening and the first time ever meeting from you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I teach English as a second language. So if I ever post a video and you're like, this dude don't know what he's talking about, what kind of teacher is he? It may not be the language, the subject I teach. I try to post positivity videos, base videos every morning, just to remind people because our mindset can make a whole difference in the day that we have. So I just try to remind people each morning that, that day's a blessing, never a guarantee. I lost both my little brother and little sister in their early 20s. So I understand what it is to have that void there from the loss of a loved one. And I've also understand that I can do one of two things. I can sit back and dwell on the fact that they're not here anymore and be sad every day about it, or I can honor their passing by living each and every day to the absolute fullest by making the most of the time that they were denied that I was blessed with. So I think that is an opportunity that, anyone that's lost a loved one is given. You're given an opportunity to respect their memory and live each day to the fullest because they can't. Some people are like, there's it's just not the same without them. It'll never be the same. That void will always be there. People are like, you'll get over it. You'll never excuse me for swearing, but you're never going to fucking get over it. It is what it is. There's always going to be a void. It's never going to be the same. That's just something that you have to accept, though. But you have to also understand, though, that they would not want you to sit there and be sad every day and be upset all the time and always be dwelling on it and just be upset and let it control the rest of your life. No. Because if they had even 1 minute of the time that you were given, you can guarantee it would not be sitting here bitching about shit. No, it would be sitting there talking to loved ones that they haven't talked to, making sure people knew how they felt because they may not have told them that recently. You know what I mean? They would make sure they would enjoy each second they were given to the absolute fullest for that full minute they got, right? Well, we get that whole day to do it. So if we get that opportunity to do it, then you've been given an opportunity to honor your loved ones. And I think that's fucking awesome. So, it sucks that they're gone. The void will always be there, but I know I have that opportunity to honor them. So I do it every day. And I try to remind people of that stuff or at least tell them if they haven't heard it before, that, it's our perception of outside stressors that's going to determine how our day is going to go. And if we make it a point to live that day to the fullest, we already have a driving factor behind it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But now if we have an understanding that our focus is going to determine how that day is going to go, if you look at something and understand that if there's a negative, there's also a positive. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It may suck something happen, but you learn something from it. You know what I mean? If there's a negative, there's a positive. So if you understand that in each situation, it's your focus that's going to determine the outcome and your emotional response to that, then it can make a huge difference, man, in your day.
Yeah.
So I just try to explain to people that, man, look, if you focus on the positive, your outlook's going to be positive, your emotional response is going to be positive, you're then going to have a positive response to it, and you're going to have a positive day. And there's plenty of positive things that fill your life every day to stay focused on. The fact that I can see each of you right now is an amazing blessing. right? To open my eyes and see the beauty each morning. Amazing blessing. But still, even if I couldn't do that, to be able to hear the birds singing, to hear my child say that I love you, amazing blessing. You know what I mean? So there's many things that even if one thing's taken away, there's still other positives to stay focused on to keep having a positive life and a positive day. And it makes a huge difference. So I try to share that with people because there was a long time, bro. I was in a dark hole. You know what I mean? Dark hole. I lost both my little brother and little sister. For my whole life, I was a big brother, and all of a sudden I wasn't. And it was quick, and it wasn't far apart. That opioid epidemic, hit a lot of families hard and shit, and my family's one of them. And it just, I just understood though, man, that it was that one understanding factor that, look, man, you're wasting all this time that they weren't given. You have to start living each day to the fullest. You have to start doing that to respect them, man. That's what they would want you to do. You're being an asshole here, just being upset every fucking day, bro, and just being all sad and shit and staying fucked up. You need to get your life together. You need to start focusing on the right things and start pushing and have a great day, because that's what they would want. And that's what I started doing, dude. That was my little tiny light, bro, in a dark ass tunnel. That was the one little fucking light that I was able to focus on. And the more I focused on it, the bigger that light got, dude. And now my tunnel's bright as shit. You know what I'm saying? I just try to share that with people. Did I say that all fast enough, man? I didn't want to take up too much time.
No, you are fantastic, bud. Like, actually, that's real beautiful the way that you put it. And I truly understand trying to find the positive in situations as much as you can, because, like you did say, even if it's something negative, not only can you try to find something out of the negative, but you can also learn from the negative. There's many lessons to be learned in hard times and hard days. And I think that it does take for a lot of the human psyche, to be honest, for you to get to a terribly low point to actually see that light coming from that other end of that tunnel that you're talking about there. I've witnessed a lot of people go through things, whether it be psychological or physical or, even things myself and stuff like that. And I can truly understand and relate when people start talking about just dark times and things that don't really get talked about. We talked about this recently a little bit, just kind of touched on it some when we were about, hardships for men and stuff. There's a lot of things that are just kind of thrown out the window when it comes to dealing with men. I guess don't take this the wrong way, but Luis, even in picture right now, like, because you're not as beautifully tan as most people would imagine, but like, we all look like four white males sitting here, so like technically we're public enemy number one. I mean, you.
I'm from Puerto Rico, yet people will create judgments on me and not.
I'm sure they do, and I'm not trying to pass.
I come from the colony that is current a colony and a collective that is actually the current slave class of this country, but we're not consistently complaining about everything.
Hey, bro. So I go to Walmart. I'm dressed in my camo. It's deer season.
Sure.
I got my beard and shit. I got my camo on. I go up to the checkout. It's the Walmart 2 seconds from my house. I go there all the time. I noticed that my cashier is new. So I'm asking him, "Oh, hey, man, what's up? How you doing, bud? Having a good day?" "Yeah, it is. It's all right, sir." I said, "All right, cool. Hey, how long you been here?" He's an Asian dude. Bro, I swear to God, this is the fucking response. "I was born here, sir." I go, "What are you fucking kidding me? I don't give a fuck where you were born. I'm talking about how long you worked here, dude. Fuck, just bag my shit. Shut the fuck up."
Good
fuck.
God.
Dude, blew my fucking mind. I'm like, how in the fuck can you possibly think that's what I meant by how long have you been here? I'm like, what the fuck do you see when I walk up with this beard and fucking all my camo, dude? You're a fuck
Right.
out of here.
Oh yeah, this kind of goes back to as Luis called it last night, my peacocking. Like I have unintentionally made myself overly approachable because I stand out. Like, I just walk into the gas station and people want to chat with me, and yeah, it's probably because of the knee-high socks, the cowboy boots and shorts, and the funny little pirate hat that I'm running around in, depending on what time of day it is. And it is just, I try to bring
want
that.
to talk to a pirate.
I
Kids wanna be
try
like,
to
"Why is
bring
there a
I try to
pirate?
bring
I
that
wanna
I
talk
try to
the
bring that
pirate."
positive, but I try to bring that positive vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like
Good.
you're if you run into me while I'm at work or while I'm going to the store or something like that, like I'm kind of goofy looking, so I'm gonna make jokes before you get the, if I see you staring and stuff like that, I want to carry on and make you laugh and make you have a good day. I understand what you mean by the local grocery store kind of deal. Like, I kind of recognize the people at my local grocery store because
Yeah, you
we're in a
talk to
small town.
everybody and stuff. They know who you the fuck you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're used to seeing you, and I stand
Yeah,
out, so
dude.
they're definitely used to seeing me, and I guess not to that extreme, but I have seen like like just folks get, I don't know, ridiculously angry for no reason. Like they're up. I understand they're doing their job. I understand they're having a hard day, but that person that's trying to give you that smile is totally not the bad person in that situation. That's the person that's trying to help you out. Like
Yeah,
that.
that smile's free and priceless at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Oh,
also think the point you're trying to make is like sometimes people have assumptions about things because that's where their mind is at. So like wherever your rudder is, that's where your ship goes. So if your mind is on, oh, white people think I'm not from here kind of thing, maybe that's like where their mind's at.
Sure.
Doesn't mean it's a positive or negative place, but that assumption can throw people for a big loop.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
just judging people by somebody how they look, and then or at the same time, like their assumptions of how they think you're judging them. They're both the same thing, sort of. They're not correct. And by having a conversation or greeting people or just talking will
Yeah,
alleviate a lot of that. So it's a lost art almost because
it is.
everything we do is typed out. So
It really
kind of see
is.
that
Like
disconnect.
you were making mention about Teacher Bill before we got started here about like motorcycle gatherings and stuff like that. And I've always I go to a comic book convention that happens to line up with Bike Week in Myrtle Beach every year.
oh, nice.
So during the day I'm doing my comic book convention, and at night I'm hanging out with everybody at the Bike Week because
Oh, yeah.
why not? And I have always found that big scary crowd that a lot of people are like, oh, to be the greatest bunch of dudes to just hang out with. Like
Oh, yeah, bro.
y'all are just always so chill and relaxed and friendly, and like there's no way if you ever really talk to one of those big scary guys that you could ever be scared of them, to be honest. Like if anything, you're about to make a new best friend.
Bro, some of the friendliest, most helpful bunch you'd ever see. If I wasn't wearing biker garb, I mean, well, if I'm in biker garb, you'd never know that. I'm just, I'm an old deadhead, man. You know what I'm saying? I love everybody, bro. But yeah, I wear all my black and stuff, my different, biker shirts and stuff like that. But I don't ride a Harley or nothing. I ride a little ass Honda Monkey, a little 125. I bored that
Nice.
little son of a bitch out to a 181. Because I don't give a fuck. I have zero worries about what anybody thinks about me. You know what I mean? My whole goal in life is to love every day to the fullest as much as possible. And I found something that helps me do that, and that's this little ass bike. I've had
Heck
all the
yeah.
big bikes. I've had and there's nothing wrong with them. I love big cruisers. I love crotch rockets. You know what I'm saying? But my knees have gotten bad too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I can't push back. It hurts my knees. So
Sure.
this little
Sure.
bike weighs
Get
less than
comfy.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
get
little bike weighs
comfy.
less
That's
than
what
me. It's just,
matters.
bro. Hey, here's the best way to describe it. We have all been to amusement parks. Yes, everybody's been to an
Of
amusement park.
course.
Have you all been there for a new roller coaster opening?
Oh yeah, brand new.
Yes. So you know that suck ass part where you wait 2-3 hours in line? That sucks, right? Right? Wait, but what about when that dude walks up and he goes click with the rope and he goes, go ahead. You know that feeling right there?
Yep.
Every time I get on my little bike.
There you go.
Every time. I'm like, boom, let's go ride, bro. My turn. My turn. Yeah.
Nice.
That little tiny bike, it maneuvers so easy and shit. I've
Yeah.
taken it down to the tail of the dragon 5 times. I just got back from Kentucky. We're about to take it to I'm about to ship it out to Missouri to have some more stuff done to it with some buddies
Nice.
of mine. It's a blast, bro.
I,
But
I've heard
you
of
know,
that place. The Tail of the Dragon is like a road that's very hard to
yeah.
like. It's very dangerous, but
And
people
it
like
doesn't
the
matter how good you
views.
think you are, bro. And I can tell you that firsthand. I'm healing from a broken collarbone and a broken
Oh,
rib. Yeah. So last trip down, man, Fuck, man. I'm sorry for swearing. I try not to swear, man. I really
It's okay,
do.
bud. It's okay.
All right.
We
All
don't
right. So
You're in
censor
good
last,
here.
company.
Injured.
Everything's
oh,
fine.
okay. Well, last trip down, fuck me. So I'm leading a group, right? Dig this. I got 3 riders I haven't seen in a second behind me. 2 of them have never ridden the dragon. One of them is one of my best friends that I go down with. So I'm a little worried about them. So I'm slowing down and I'm looking back. I'm slowing down and I'm looking back. Fuck me, man. I know better than this. Worry about the rider behind you, not everybody else. But I'm just worried because I know 2 of them have never rode the dragon and it's so dangerous. I look back, I look forward. I look back one time a little too long, man. I fucking look forward and I'm deep into that turn. I try to make that turn and I over front brake it, man. My buddy goes, Bill, your back tire comes off the ground that much and your bike just lifted sideways, touched the ground, and boom, you're over. He goes, then it looked like you're break dancing. And my helmet goes, scratch, scratch. He goes, you go on this side, you go on this side. He goes, and then bam, your legs slam down. He goes, so the whole time my legs were in the air. Woo! My legs slammed down. My fucking foot hit the ground so hard, dude. It separated the sole of my shoe from my fucking boot. So listen, I lay there. I'm like, holy fuck, fuck, fuck. I got to assess this quick. Got to be quick. Got to be quick. All right. I'm feeling. All right. Nothing's broke. Slide backwards. Slide backwards. I get off the road. I'm laying on the road. I'm doing this assessment in my head. I'm wiggling my fucking toes. I'm turning my shit like, oh, my foot feels
It's
like
the
just
weirdest
smashed it.
feeling.
But fuck, oh yeah, bro. I come up. I go, might have broke a rib. I go, oh, that's destroyed. That's fucking destroyed. Oh fuck. So I get up. I go, listen. Get the duct tape out of my jacket. Tape the sole of my boot on. Let's go. They're like, what? I go, let's go, bro. Before this adrenaline wears off, I got to get the fuck out of here. I go, bro, you ain't calling an ambulance? I go, when will I leave my fucking bike on the side of the mountain for 2 dudes to come by and load in a truck and it's gone? Fuck no, I'm out of here. The bike's fine. They go, yeah. I go, let's go. They tape my fucking shoe on, dude. I got a broken collarbone. I lean down and into the throttle. Me, an hour and a half back to camp. I'm only a quarter of the way through the fucking dragon. I gotta lead the group the rest of the fucking way, bro. Oh, fuck, fuck. 45 minutes, I'm in fucking tears. I'm bawling. I don't give a fuck who sees it. It's moving and shit every time I hear a bump. Oh, bro. I get back an hour and a half in. Dude goes, what's up, bro? I go, fuck. He fucking gives me that on the shoulder, doesn't know I'm hurt. He goes, what's up, bro? Because he hadn't seen me. He was happy to see me. I go, fuck, please. He goes, holy fuck, bro. Helps me off the bike. They tape me up. I go to the hospital. Fuck, bro. So, yeah, the dragon is dangerous.
Are you recovering well?
Yeah, actually, man, I just went on another vacation, to, like a redemption ride kind of thing. And I'm about to go on this one in 2 days up to Geneva.
Yeah, just don't look back ever. New lesson.
But I will do a redemption ride on the dragon. If you guys ever get a chance, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. Beautiful down there. You just got to take it slow. No, if the speed limit says 15, do 15. You're fucking fine.
I got to ride out near in between Albuquerque and where did we go? We went out to the Tent Rocks. I was in New Mexico for a little while, and we went through the mountains. Like we rode through the mountain, over the mountain, basically to get to the Tent Rocks on the other side, which is like a big hike thing to do afterwards. But that was a real cool ride. I was only out there for a week or whatever, but I got the opportunity with my ex-in-laws to hop on a bike and go, and that was pretty exhilarating, just riding through the mountains like that. Like I definitely recommend you doing it at least once in your life, folks. Like for sure. Like I mean, it's therapeutic. A lot like a lot of this conversation type stuff is. Bandit likes to point out. I wish he was here tonight. I hate speaking for him, but Bandit likes to point out just how therapeutic a lot of times just having these just general conversations even can be too, because you're just getting things off your chest. Which I kind of want to turn for a moment, because we were talking about the way folks judge folks or, think about other folks and stuff like that. And I know there was a point that me and Steven had been talking about a couple days leading up to this about the terrible precedent that was set by President Puddin'Pants the other day, and generalizing most of the country under one giant brim of basically conspiracy theorists and the alike, anybody who questions anything. And
For anyone who disagrees with the
I,
narrative.
I'm gonna let you take over. Right? I'm gonna let you take
Yeah.
over, Stephen, because I know this was something you were kind of getting passionate about in conversation.
Not to be too deep on it, I just thought it was interesting how quick they would make anyone who disagrees with them their enemy, and the first thing is to identify them and label them so they can be separated out, and that's the first stage of.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's happened more than once. So it just comes down to making sure they identify an enemy, and it could be your neighbor, someone who puts a Trump sign out 2 years ago or whatever, or somebody who puts a Biden sign out. Like, it's the same thing. Like, we can't allow each other to just sometimes agree to disagree on stuff or make poor choices, and the opportunity to learn from that kind of stuff. And it's disappointing that there's a lot of the intentional divisiveness, I guess, is what I was trying to think of, where race is not working. The division of who has money and who doesn't kind of isn't working, because I think at the end of the day, we all realize we're all people. And, as long as you're not stealing from someone, I don't care if people have wealth. And it's kind of the thing where, or it's more than just dividing people by their beliefs, or dividing them by how they look or their monetary status, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And it's like people are ashamed to be successful now because of this whole war on the wealthy. It's more than just that too.
But who would, that's kind of strange. Who would be ashamed to be successful? That sounds strange.
Well, that's what I mean.
Some people have been indoctrinated to that point. That's bizarre.
Well, some white people are ashamed to be white. And that's just who they are. They're born that way. That's what I'm saying. Like,
and that is purely and that's propaganda.
Well, that's what I mean. People are genuinely sorry to be Christian after finding out about all the atrocities the church has committed in the early 1900s or after. You
didn't do the atrocities. Why are you blaming yourself for things that were done by people thousands of years ago? Right. Well, some people hundreds of years ago, but yeah. You've been a traditional
this or that. And those people committed these crimes, or the evidence is more abundant for that thing. And it's just kind of interesting. It all starts with that first guilt trip.
Fun fact. And 20 and no, don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of that generational time, that a lot of that stuff, even you're speaking of, Luis, that is 200, even maybe 100 years or less in history, like, most of those people are gone.
Yeah.
If not all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, in the human race is collectively getting nicer, and this is all actually proven to be true. The problem lies in, like, in the US, what the violence that's going up, it's going back up to like the old times. So old times meaning the 80s and the 70s. And before, we had that problem because of lead poisoning. Now, what's the new precursor that's causing mental disorders? No, we've had fluoride in the water for decades.
Could be something people put in their bodies.
Food.
It could be the food.
It's got to be the food,
because the food. Look at the food from the 1970s to now. Yeah. Let's just have a visual map in our heads.
Beach. Let me find you a picture.
Yeah, that's a great one. And there's a breakdown of what. Actually, there is a great chart. You should look. It's how much calories the average person in the United States ate in the 1970s and how much they eat today. It's the same amount or lower, yet everybody's fucking fat. So it's not that you're eating too much. It's that what you're eating is shit.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, there is a direct correlation between what you're eating is shit and your body cannot process it. And that's why it turns into fat. Because the default for the body for survival is, I don't know what to do with this, turn it into fat. The reason why the obesity epidemic is so prominent in the Native American populations and certain populations that come from places like Africa is because they are genetically driven in starvation mode. They come from places that have scarcity. Because they have such scarcity, their bodies default to storing as much sugar as humanly possible, to storing as much fat as humanly possible. So that's why certain collectives, like Native Americans throughout, like most of the world, like people that came from starvation modes throughout their lives, now have severe health problems in a society that has an abundance of food. And the scientists have correlated it.
Okay.
But nobody talks about that.
That's awesome.
Well, that's also awesome. All of our food dyes, corn syrup in general. It's not just the food; it's what's been added to it or cut with it.
Oh, I mean, the corn syrup, like what the hell? Like
look a certain way. Yeah,
the corn syrup. I mean,
are definitely poison, 100%.
Look at fruit. Okay, so there's a fructose and sugar test. Like they were done, and they said if the rat ate more fructose than glucose, it would get fatter. So high fructose corn syrup makes you fatter, even if it's the exact same amount of sugar.
This is a beach from roughly the 1970s, and this is a point.
Try to find a beach today. Try to come up with a modern
well,
picture. I mean, look.
There's a meme that shows them side by side, and it's not letting me find.
Notice how close everybody is to one another.
Ooh, scary.
Oh my God! Hong Kong flu. By the way, Hong Kong flu evidently was horrible.
I'm just saying.
I don't see any porta johns out there either. So you can imagine.
Look how social everybody.
Well, you look at the ocean. That's the biggest toilet in the world.
Yeah, probably for sure.
I mean, it's always been our toilet. What do you think? We have problems in certain countries. We don't properly dispose of the water. Yeah. And the thing is, as societies get richer, become more eco-friendly. So people don't understand that the faster we bring up society, the cleaner the world becomes. The more abundant everything becomes, the more streamlined everything becomes. We are actually become greener as a planet, the faster we make the poor richer.
That's also a choice though, too. So we understand that, as education increases, we understand that this is our only environment too. Whereas it's not a thought on developing countries, I don't think. That your environment is directly affected by what you do to it. So that could be a factor.
Not everyone in those environments has a complete comprehension of the ecosystem dynamics. It's not about intelligence, not in the slightest. It's just exclusively related to what's input into their environment. Yeah.
If you follow my arrow, it's not as many as like I've seen in other pictures, but like
how spread out they are.
I mean that too, but like,
well,
I've seen a really good picture that floats around out there, but they're not letting me find it right now because the internet wants to be difficult. But I know people have seen the meme before, but there really is something to be said about the food. Something I've seen a lot here recently again, and I call it propaganda, and I get feedback, very negative feedback every time I call it propaganda, is you see farmers popping up on a good place like TikTok, for example, where they're trying to say things like, oh, they can't GMO this, or you should eat this grain fed over this and stuff like that. And I'm like, first of all, do you know anything about those grains that are going into that animal that you're buying from that bag? Because I've seen what goes into those machines, and there's a big reason that people are getting microplastics in their system because their food is eating microplastics because they don't care.
Filler. Yeah,
it's filler. They don't care. They grind it all down and stuff like that. And like, and then they're like, oh, you can't GMO a strawberry. You some bitch. They crossbred and selectively bred and this, that, and the other, which is genetically modifying. I don't care what you try to convince me otherwise, to get the strawberry to the point that it is today. The same thing they did to the banana. The same thing they did to the peach. And the grapes are a great example too, because finding grapes with seeds in them is damn near implausible anymore, depending on where you are. But like, it's really hard. And like, it's it's stuff like that, that is, I think, a big alter into our body. They keep trying to convince people that seeds are full. The funniest thing I've ever fucking heard is that these seeds are full of cyanide. A big one that they like to point out to me is they try to argue with me about the apricot seed thing when there's on record many people using the C word, which I won't use so the FDA don't show up to my house because they'll show up over everybody, to C-word themselves from cancer with apricot seeds and a couple other things and change in diet and stuff like that. And it's a real thing that has happened. But the apricot seed's supposed to be full of cyanide. And if you ingest more than so many within a small amount of time, you're gonna kill yourself. And I'm like, that's a load of shit.
The thing is, when you have a condition like that, just try everything. What's the risk, honestly? Especially when it's something that
everything
if
but
you look
radiation.
into it for 5 minutes, radiation's actually like the worst possible idea.
But that's the first thing they try to put on you.
Now it's changed. If you go to the more advanced options, for example, one of them is with magnetics. So there is an assortment and frequency. Remember the old machine from
the Rife machine?
From the Tales of Conspiracies. Evidently, like
it's made a comeback.
Yep. The whole frequency killing cancer instantly is making a comeback, even though somebody started talking about it decades ago.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. It's like, wait,
but
somebody invent something that the FDA banned that did exactly what they were saying? That
the Rife machine?
Rife machine?
I think it's it was banned by the FDA, and it's like, why did the FDA ban that?
Yeah, the Rife machine.
That's the thing. They start banning things that are helpful, like the apricot seeds are hard to get. There's specific almonds that are hard to get that the FDA is banned.
I know apple seeds actually
they keep trying to say that apple seeds have cyanide, but as someone who has made apple cider as a side job in Western New York, you would be killing everybody that you know because seeds and all go in apple cider, bro.
Goes in the mash.
Hey, you can still get a Rife machine. I have a doctor that lives about 10 houses down from me, a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
He actually has one he's using right now.
Dude, there's people on TikTok that are making and selling them. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, he's treating himself with one.
I mean, if they can actually hit the frequencies that work, awesome. Why not? I mean, this is the thing.
Hell yeah.
If they're giving the treatments away or like almost free, and if they're working, it was like, if they work, pay us. Things like that. I would be like, if they start working and healing you, just pay us. Little things like that, because that's the problem. Is with the explanation with these options, right? Because they've considered scams. And the truth is they can go after you, because if you are selling something and you're declaring something and that something is actually not doing anything, and some people are swindlers. So there's bad people in between the mix. That's the sad reality.
I think you still need to hold people accountable for what they do.
Of course.
You. So but we can do that outside of the law. We don't have to have lawyers do that for us or
a true free market does that on its own.
Yeah, so they'll be shunned out of existence. People won't want to do business with them. And talking about what we feed our food, hemp was removed somewhere in the 30s from the feed supply of all animals, farm animals. I mean, like hemp has been used forever, and all the excess as a filler went into animal feed. And that's something that our grandparents had coming out of those animals and into their bodies. So that's something else that was taken away about that same time, right before World War II, really. So it's kind of like that was a turning point.
Well, now they're finally speaking about unifying the coding for like how we do nutrition in the United States, because there's like 21 agencies that do the management, and they're saying EBT gets double credits for vegetables and fruits. So you get double the money if you're spending it on vegetables and fruits. For context, before I think 2018 numbers, 150 million people were on food stamps, food credits of some kind. That number probably now is 190 million to 200 million. So it's probably like 60% of the population or more are on food stamps. And that's something people don't think about, is like, objectively, the majority of the United States is impoverished, but it's not spoken about publicly, because if like only like people that really start to analyze this, like, oh, weird, the inequality in the United States is equal to Mexico, huh?
Well, we don't need the government to save us either. Right? Just untax us.
Oh no, it's just fix the tax code.
Well, it's not just we just don't pay taxes anymore, and there's no more handouts, and everyone learns personal responsibility. That's the best option.
Well,
you keep people attached to a government tit, They're going to suckle it until it's dry.
And of course there is that case for against welfare, but then there is different elements to that whole structure.
I feel like that as individuals, we're more capable than the government of helping other people get food.
Yes, and it's more about
we're more responsible too.
What it is, I would say, is that companies are allowed to pay extremely low wages and then take money from the government because they're paying low wages. So you have places like Walmart that pay their employees shit, and then now they're offering health insurance that's partially backed by the government. Again, it's like exploitive practices that could easily be corrected with just proper laws being written.
Or we could just abolish government and not have to worry about it and let the market sort itself. I mean, if word gets out that, Walmart is taking handouts and then the government doesn't exist anymore, all of a sudden Walmart has to become more competitive.
Okay, this is something I'm pretty wise on, and I want to touch a little bit more on, like Luis is kind of saying there. Your Walmart, your Amazon, your Kroger, your Target, your Tesla, your McDonald's, your Taco Bell, all of them get bigger chunks of a welfare check in the form of government subsidies than Jennifer down the street who's getting $300 for her kids a month in food stamps.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And
how much do you think Uber pays in taxes? Effective tax rate. Have you heard how much they pay in effective tax rates? Take a wild guess. Effective tax rates for Uber.
Well, I would say probably none, because they can make donations like anyone else who makes large sums of money to offset their taxable income.
They put it back on the people that are doing the running, don't they?
Yep.
So ever heard of the Irish double Dutch sandwich?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So to those listening, please look up Irish double Dutch sandwich. Now, it doesn't work the same anymore because Ireland changed the laws, and Ireland's making a fuck ton of money. So good on Ireland. They just basically changed the laws and are now taxing the fuck out of those companies that were trying to exploit Ireland.
But if you
and
tax
made
those
$100 billion. They're making $100 billion.
Okay, but if you tax those companies, they just pass that on to the consumer, and now everybody can't afford anything.
Nope, that's not true. That's a misnomer of economics. No, that's not true to the extent that you think. I'm talking about mega
don't
corporations.
Absorb cost. I'm just saying, especially large box chains, they don't absorb cost. They just don't. They just pass it on.
Well, that's the thing. There is a dynamic of balance, right? And this dynamic of balance, there is fluctuations that occur. And yes, there is the idea that they'll always pass on the price, but there's market elements that prevent that. Now, the problem is those market elements cannot be prevented if there's oligopolies. Because there's oligopolies functioning currently, that can never happen.
Well,
the market cannot correct itself any longer because the market has been manipulated into oblivion.
The government is manipulated by the corporation. It doesn't matter how much you leverage against the corporation because the corporation owns the government. So in any type of oligarchy at all, the very mere existence of government is what makes these companies or gives them the ability to do what they do. By eliminating that incentive or centralized power, the companies are completely reliant on the customer to purchase their product. And if
they're not going to lose their power. That's the thing.
If everyone stopped using Amazon Web Services tomorrow, they stopped buying everything from Amazon, you're going to obliterate an entire industry.
70% of the internet runs on Amazon Web Services.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. But it doesn't have to. That's my point. People make these choices based on economic
or
personal preference.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you understood like the internet, how it works, if you think, if you eliminate who runs like literally 50% of the global internet tomorrow,
that's
then
where
it doesn't run.
Hosted. It can be hosted other places. I can host a web server on the machine we're having a chat on right now.
Well, bro, listen, I don't mean to interrupt, but you guys know why places like Amazon thrive. This comes all back too. But listen, this comes absolute back, and I swear to God, this is what it comes back to. It comes back to primal instincts, and it comes back to the fact that one primal instinct, and that's animals you can watch do it today, and we still do it in our subconscious. It's just that as our minds have expanded, we still have those primal urges in there. And one is to choose the path of least resistance as a way of saving energy.
Correct.
So deer will always choose the path that has the least steepness to the hill. You know what I mean? They'll always choose the path that has the going down towards where the easiest way and the longest way to come back, but with the least grade, because the path of least resistance allows you the least amount of energy to be expelled. So that we still look for that. So now Amazon, if I can just pop it up and go boom, I don't have to go to the store. It's just going to be delivered. I'm thinking to myself already, that's the way I should choose because that's the path of least resistance. So without understanding that, I'm already telling myself that's what I should do. You have to consciously go, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Consciously go, no, get up off your ass, go fucking pick something out and buy it. But it's that primal instinct that drives us that we don't realize that's the driving factor behind that. It's us naturally are going to look and pick the path of least resistance, and that's the option we're going to choose first before anything else.
Or the lowest possible economic cost. You're going to look at what's the path of lowest economic cost to yourself as well.
Having been on the seller end, having to package everything just a certain way so it doesn't get rejected. Like I understand, like there's a lot of effort that goes into working with Amazon as a seller. And it does make it easy for the purchaser until you buy something that's complete trash and then try to return it. And it turns into a nightmare sort of most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where we can choose not to buy from Amazon just because it's easier if we understand that Amazon is not being cool, especially to their employees. And a lot of people don't care about it until it happens to them. I'm just saying that we don't need government to enforce a system if government is controlled by the very corporations that they're trying to control. And also at the same time thinking that we can tax the crap out of a corporation and make them pay their fair share when that's not true at all. No one should be paying taxes at all, in my opinion. Just saying.
Well,
I totally agree with that.
We don't need a few people in centralized power to control everything. We don't need that.
No, we the people need to take control back. Yeah. That's the main objective.
And that's what I mean by personal.
But the idea that you're going to like reset the clock in all facets is what you would call like impossibility. Like it doesn't happen because just the way the world is connected, that path would actually lead to a disconnect and would lead to a massive poverty globally and to
this
is just inequality that we cannot
outcome based on your perception of humanity. I don't think that's going to happen at all. One good solar flare and
true.
We're all going to be back not using Amazon Web Services.
I believe we do. Okay, so neither
are we talking to each other anymore, sadly enough.
Well, on this platform, no, but
no, we'll have to go back to like, hi, sir, how are you doing in real life? But that's nothing left.
Yeah, or you know how to build.
There is like a common. Okay, there's like a common theme that gets brought up around here, and I even made mention of it earlier in the thing when I was talking about our, sponsors, I guess, again, to the point that I don't make money off of them, but I hope with every ounce of everything that there is that they're making money because I am trying to bring them some business. And people like Nomi Dan and people like Goddess Mama and Jody, and just other people that have their own kind of alternative style businesses and stuff like that. There's been so many people on this page that do. Even our new extra co-host Luna, she's in with that pirate coin thing, and everybody's got their different things, whether it's NFT, whether it's coins, whether it's skills, whether it's this, that, and the other. If you want to do anything, I think, as far as like benefiting a bigger population and actually maybe hurting some of these corporations, and in the sense that you're talking about, without crumbling the world, Luis, is you start using these alternative sources. You know what I'm saying? These
bringing awareness. Yeah.
Just using go get your fruits and vegetables from the most local source you can find to get your fruits and vegetables, cut out the middleman and cut out all these extra taxes, and pay cash to the farmer sitting on the hood of his truck with all the tomatoes. Go pay cash at the yard sale for secondhand items that are just as good as the one you could have went and bought in the store. And, there's so many opportunities to have a black market. When people think black market, they immediately think things like, hard drugs and pills and blah 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 blah. And I understand that, but like the truth
I got
about it,
these car parts for cheap, man.
right? I mean, but the truth about it is, yes, you know,
mean,
I would much rather go to the rundown hole in the wall shop that has a junkyard out behind it and go dig for my own parts out there with that guy for a better deal than
I've gone to those places, and it's interesting.
Hey, I love pull apart, man. I
Yeah.
love pull apart, bro.
The weird thing
one.
is, for example, right to repair is something that people have been fighting for recently, and it's super fundamental because you have people, especially in the farming industry, that cannot fix their machines for what is considered a pretty fucking simple fix.
yes.
The fact that they need a John Deere like certified whatever the fuck just to access their system and do a simple reset of some part of their software is criminal.
And they're doing the same thing with cars.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't own when you buy a car, you don't own that thing anymore.
Well, no. I mean, you can keep it.
You're licensing it.
Yeah, keep it on your alleged property if you don't drive it on the road. I mean.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying like, okay,
they're gonna tax you by the mile
in the 70s and earlier in the 80s, your cars were at peak. You could repair it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like
manual that told you how to repair.
Like there wasn't nothing you couldn't go down to AutoZone and get the parts for and do yourself in your own yard.
You can go to AutoZone and buy the manual.
I had a 67 Chevy pickup truck. You could get the hood open, climb inside, shut the hood, and work on the 350 V8 motor.
Yeah, and I bet you could
fucking room in there, bro.
Well,
and I bet you could replace everything that was in that.
They were made. This is the only thing I'll say with car design. They are different now not for repairability, but it's more for car like fuel efficiency and just overall efficiency. I know, but that's the truth. I mean, they are way more efficient.
My 350 small block V8 didn't get the best mileage. Man, that song sounded good.
Why are we worried about the slaves' efficiency and not worried about the fact that these guys just willy-nilly go jump in a fucking jet and go around the world?
Oh, no. I'm talking about just price for the person. I'm not talking
I'm not saying like I'm just saying just people in general.
Why aren't more people upset about that?
Yeah, like I hear people, we're making things.
So get this. So now when you look on Google Flights, it tells you the carbon footprint of your flight. And I was talking to a banking
carbon dating is wrong anyway.
Carbon credits and all that stuff. Not carbon dating, you motherfucker.
No, I'm saying carbon dating is wrong because
I'm not disagreeing
because things turn to stone quicker than carbon dating.
You ever see that video of the ladder that leaned against whatever? And
there's multiple methods of carbon dating. I was gonna say there's multiple methods of carbon dating though.
Yes, I have, Bill.
Well, there's also the scatter shot of cosmic rays that interfere with what is naturally found on the Earth versus what the Earth was bombarded with as well.
That's why they use the platinum line. You ever heard of the platinum line? So when the particular asteroid that 65 million years ago, give or take, that hit the Earth, there's a line that covered the entire planet of platinum.
Million years ago.
Really?
Well, that is the estimate.
Allegedly. I will allegedly you too.
Nobody has posted any alternative timeline to my knowledge.
Oh, let's just trust academia completely.
There is no alternative timeline to ever been presented. You can decide whatever you want. I'm talking about dinosaurs. I'm not talking about like something that happened 1,000 years ago.
Humans and dinosaurs probably walk together. We won't know.
No,
they still do.
Those weren't dinosaurs then.
Were they though?
So let me explain dinosaurs in 2 seconds. Dinosaurs cannot exist today because of oxygen content. The oxygen content of the Earth
atmosphere is different now versus when it was then.
Dinosaurs did
because the ocean
dragons.
Henceforth, the human beings and dinosaurs never existed on the Earth simultaneously because humans also would have to be gigantic.
And yet there's a brontosaurus walking around the Congo that proves you wrong.
That is a tiny thing.
Not only that,
is tiny.
I just want to know.
You don't believe there were huge people before?
Yes.
Potentially there were different types of humans. Yeah, there's information on that. But the oxygen content of the Earth 10,000 years ago, or even 15,000 years ago, wasn't higher.
I just want to know, like, how long you've been a vampire and who turned you and how old you really are to have seen that humans weren't around when dinosaurs were here. That's all.
Are you
the fossil
Comte de Saint
record.
Germain?
Okay, the fossil record is just a small snapshot of what was preserved, not the entire biosphere.
Of course, it's a fraction. Yes, correct.
Yeah, and very small fraction.
And we measure that through the isotope degradation. So like the
which
radioactive
could have
isotope
been shotgunned by cosmic rays during low points of the Earth's magnetic field.
That's why there's multiple ways to measure.
And not to mention the big plausibility of funding for the results that the funder wanted.
Yeah, leaving or omitting information out to make it fit a narrative.
Okay.
Because that's who funded the study wanted them to find.
Sure, lying without lying.
But true, but there is in archaeology there is a lot of things that there's complete consensus.
Okay, I am going to shoot you down, Luis, because there's this archaeologist that hangs out on TikTok that thinks he knows it all, and he's said several things that were completely incorrect and refuses to respond to my comments about it.
Oh, I'm not saying there's archaeologists that aren't wrong. I'm talking about certain things related to dating. I'm not talking about the facts
that we know of so far, because we haven't found a snapshot of a biome with all of the life forms together. There's no definitive evidence either way is what I'm trying to say. There's no point for me to argue it is I'm not going to waste my time and energy on speculation or the speculation of others.
No, it's not. Just study the data. Like, you can speak however you want, but saying that dinosaurs and humans existed at the same time is
Luis.
If you want to
hold on to that, that's perfectly fine.
It's not holding on. I'm just trying to tell you.
What about Magellan's journeys to China and him speaking of dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's misinterpretation of what he was seeing.
Well,
we call it dragons. We call it dragons. It could have been other reptilians, creatures that we don't know about.
It could have been.
Or it could have been a completely serious.
The thing about the dinosaurs and scales, it's an example. A T-Rex, if it were alive today, would probably be the size of a cow.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
they would not be the large megafauna.
Part of the Congo that has miniature dinosaurs in it is what you're saying?
Those are miniature dinosaurs. They're not even the scale that. Those are small. Yeah, they're small.
What about Nessie?
The images you see, they're small, and Nessie isn't that big either.
Well, they could have eventually evolved into chickens or been the only surviving tyrannosaur species could be genetically modified tyrannosaurs because they wanted them to be, have feathers and be smaller. And that's where we get chickens.
Oh, and dinosaurs, many of them had feathers, likely. So that's another discovery we've noticed.
That's the thing. Like, we've always assumed certain things based on a small snapshot of information from a time that we believe to be very long ago, when no one really, really knows for sure. There's no unbiased basis.
Hey, that's true. Especially after like Luis, like last night when old Lowell brought on those artifact pictures of things that were freaking amazing from Lord knows when, that mental doesn't comprehend. Grug need help. It was just they were amazing, and it's just there's things like that. There's a bunch of these once-off things that they do find that, in all honesty, really rewrite a lot of the things that they say, and I think need more time spent looking into them.
Or
in the timeline I come from, we were told in school that gas came from dinosaur bones, and then when I grew up, I knew that it didn't. But why the fuck are they teaching that to kids?
Yeah, and I always found that there's only this. So, ever heard of the theory? Let me look up the actual term.
Which theory?
So,
I'm not saying you're incorrect, Luis. I'm just saying that how can we really know? That's all. And without
wrong, Luis, you're wrong, bro.
Hey, I'm not going to say that because he might be right. He might be right.
They did make the frogs gay.
They did make the frogs gay related to the hormones. That is actually true.
And they also made them change. It has been really proven that soy.
When he was talking about certain chemicals in the water were altering the sexual outcomes of tadpoles into becoming more one or gender to the other.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean, you have some that can flip gender even after tadpole. So,
abiotic oil theory.
Abiotic oil theory.
Scientists believe oil and natural gas are formed by organisms decomposing, how that process, like I'm trying to find the other alternative because I think, yeah, because the thing
Abiotic
is,
oil
it's the
proof.
deposit. No, I'm trying to find the other, but I think abiotic is the current correct term.
And
for
going back to GMO real quick while we're waiting, I don't care that people crossbred different plants. I have a problem with squid DNA being in my corn because
I have a problem with pork DNA being in my salmon.
Well, yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Okay. We all have a problem with plastic being in our food. So like, why not focus on the real problems that we have instead of fighting over small things is my point. That's all.
That is a great point. Like, down with the FDA.
Yeah, the FDA is a mess. And the problem is the FDA literally gets most of its money from corporations, which was the fucking disgusting.
Sounds like corrupt government being funded by corporations that get tax breaks from government that get funded by corporations that, if we just, remove part of that equation, we might get somewhere in life as individuals, just saying.
Well, that's the thing. This is the tricky part about which part of the Great Reset are we going to get? Are we
you get a machete and you cut that out. That's real simple.
Well, but that's not how reality works. That's how fantasy works. No, that's not true.
You had the 13 colonies, and one day they said, "No, we're not doing that anymore."
You can't compare.
Oh, I think I can.
Wait, compare what?
You can't compare how drastic shifts occurred back then to now. You still need centralized control mechanisms to help people.
That's the problem. Centralized power is
I
why
disagree.
we're in this mess.
You don't need the extent of the current power hats it is. Decentralized nodes can exist, but there needs to be cohesion.
Well, it still requires the internet, and the internet is looking to get controlled by the government. So pretty soon, internet protocol as we know it is going to be hyper filtered, and no one's going to be able to see anything you do.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about people using radio waves to create alternative internet systems.
Oh, that's great. But who's going to know about what frequency to tune in on?
Radio.
How are they going to build their own ARPANET using radio transceivers?
We're doing that.
Where are they going to get that information from?
We're already doing that now.
Well, sort of, but yeah, like if
you can already build intranets between people wirelessly of hundreds of megabits per second.
Yeah,
it's currently possible.
It's all based on a technology.
It's happening though.
It's happening in a good way.
Like off the shelf equipment, right? So
it's pretty cheap equipment too.
Why can't we just choose not to run on Amazon Web Services tomorrow altogether collectively and not buy anything from Amazon? Why can't we boycott a corporation?
You can.
And why can't we boycott the government? It's the same thing. You can choose not to pay taxes.
It's not, because the government sadly has the monopoly on violence.
Well, they might have a monopoly on
True, but they've let rice farmers and goat herders whoop their ass twice. So
Oh no, I'm not going to debate that. So that's the thing. It's like collectively.
So I think
in order to cause a shift,
the largest armed populace in the entire world, I think we have the best chance.
Yes, but that happens through organization. It doesn't happen.
Or it just happens.
Chaotic that nodes. Pepsi wishes they would have kept them Russian chips now.
Well, I'll give you an example. Let's go for that one.
Mind,
that's actually the best example.
Head.
If you think that the world's going to randomly keep running without the most advanced microchips keep running the world, that's a big that's just not how reality works. We're using currently the same technology that comes from those units, and it only comes from a collectively connected society. When you start to disconnect the world like that, then it will cause massive destabilization.
Well, when the government has a monopoly on who is able to make chips and who is able to use certain radio frequencies,
there's only one company in the world that makes chips.
Well, there's three. There's three fabricators right now.
No, there's multiple.
There's three major fabricators right now.
TSMC,
I got Sears chips right down from me.
You can trace back the main mineral to one company.
The jalapeno.
I got that sriracha.
You're talking about certain base rare earths and such.
Well, you're also kind of bungled in with intellectual property and who manages that. Who enforces intellectual property rights?
The empire.
No, the government. The government enforces that. So if we, again, cut out the part that is the biggest problem, I think that we're going to be far better off than we are with it. There's no fixing it, is my point, because it's too far gone, because ultimate power ultimately corrupts. Centralized power of any type is bad. And it's been that way since all through history.
And all through history, all governments have failed because government is not the answer.
It's up to the individual to take individual responsibility, which means not being dependent on a government or a corporation as much as possible.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, you can't have that for the world. You're going to have that for certain collectives.
No, if you can have it here, you can have it anywhere. If you can have that guy who grows his own food, provides for his own family, and on the side makes liquor and sells it for a profit, you can, I'm not saying we all have to be that guy, but there's a lot of really smart people that can take a CMOS material and make their own process.
So this is the part you're forgetting. There's a big portion of the population that just follows.
Okay. Why should they be dependent
you're under
on, like, people?
Because they are dependent. You don't get it.
Yes, I do.
There is a collective group. There is a big chunk of the population that can't do it.
Yes, they can. I promise you they can. I believe that they can.
No, you believe, of course. It's they were not willing to.
Well, that's their choice. That's their choice.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. At the end of the day, a certain collective, sure, and that's the reality.
No, everyone, not certain collectives. Everyone has the capacity to build a filter and filter their own water. But they do.
They don't have the will.
That's their own choice, Luis.
Yes.
They for the consequence of not choosing to live. And that's how easy that is. Why do we want to keep all the lazy people alive by funding a government that turns around and gives away 8 or less % of that income to alleged
this gets very complicated, because that's the same system that keeps a lot of people that are handicapped alive.
No. It's a lot of people are dependent on something that doesn't have to exist. Again, it goes back to choice. It goes back. We can all choose different things, and having hard times help us.
I think we could build alternate systems.
Yeah,
that would do.
And they need to, they need to exist for everything to transition to those systems. And people are building those systems right now.
They are. There are a lot of people building systems like that. Yeah, I will say that.
The largest motivator would be that there is no government tomorrow. Congratulations, you're all free now.
You have no. What would happen if the government stopped
if the
broadcasting tomorrow? What would happen?
There would be a huge ass party, because no one would have to pay taxes. Every corporation would be allowed to do whatever they want to do, but they would be beholden to the people that pay them for what they provide. Completely 100%. There's no one coming to save them. There's no bailouts.
Society would fall into complete chaos.
No, but cities are literally going to burn.
Yeah, complete chaos.
Maybe yours.
Hey, no. 90% of the people in most cities are absolute sheep that have never taken it upon themselves to learn shit.
All right.
You know what I mean? They could not survive for a day out in the wild. You know what I'm saying? The people that are born in the suburbs,
I understand,
that actually farm and shit, and actually live off the land, they have a way better chance. But most of the people in the cities, they're either going to try and go out towards the suburbs to find food, or they're just going to die in a massive chaos. Man,
I just hear Bandit. Is Bandit here?
You know what I mean? They need those fucking handouts and shit. A lot of people,
or they can pull
need
together
that assistance and that help.
And I'm not.
I like that idea. What you were just about to say, or we can pull together and actually do something as a community to make a difference.
I still think that
people don't realize the strength in that either.
Collective frameworks need to exist in order before this destabilization occurs. Is my point.
I think the state is a crutch.
Exist.
I just think the state is a crutch that holds us back, honestly.
True.
Because if we were all cut loose tomorrow, we'd all be making a whole lot of different choices to survive, and including. I don't think
I don't disagree with you. Honestly. I don't disagree with you. I don't live off the government. I don't disagree with you. I would live a better life if the government wasn't intruding. Look, I'll tell you this. The government currently is intruding on my life in a way that it's not intruding in most of your lives, in a very fucked up way that I cannot discuss further than that. But the government has made me lose $200,000 in the last few years. So to tell you that I have more of an ire over the government than most of you likely have over things that you cannot imagine, I get it. But the thing is, that's the concept of it's not going to just randomly stop working tomorrow. It's just not a real thing.
No, we can all choose. We could say, hey, we've had enough of the government. You guys are idiots, and we're not playing this game anymore. Easy peasy. That's it. So,
yes, but that's going to happen through a big series of events in the next few years.
Or just everyone turns their
definitely
back.
big series of events. And you've even said it to me
Big
before,
series of
Steven,
events
that it's going to have to get worse
happen.
before it gets better.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the other thing too. This is what they want, though. Those in power want us to revolt so that they can use and leverage more
their boot
against
turn
us.
on the boot.
Turn on
the jackboot. Yeah, they want to use the boot, and that's a big problem. That's why people have to unify in order to establish order to fight back. That's what I'm talking about.
I guess in a way, I've got
still
a little bit
order between collectives.
I've got a little bit of
absolute anarchy. Doesn't work. People are too stupid.
Anarchy is the most beautiful. That is the most natural, beautiful thing.
But it doesn't work in larger groups than 120. It doesn't work.
I'll go
up to like 500 million people.
You ever heard of the Dunbar number? Ever heard of the Dunbar number?
Okay, but who is the person who...
Ever heard of the Dunbar number?
But who attributes that? Who came up with that?
There's a lot of science in relationship to sociology.
What kind of scientists? And when was the study?
Disregarding science because you don't agree with it doesn't mean
I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm asking where it comes from.
Oh, sure. I'll send you more.
I'm just saying, if you don't know, it's okay.
No, I'll just quote you the scientist right now.
Okay.
I've got it pulled up right here in front of us, buddy.
That is someone's assumption based on...
No, it's not someone's assumption. It's been proven, but again, it's been proven by companies. It's been proven by a lot of things it's related to just the limits of human consciousness in relationship to how many relationships you can maintain.
Well, is it because we're not challenged?
No, it's not because
I'm just saying
that's not true.
Yeah, how can you be so absolute about anything at all?
It's related. I'm talking about larger groups. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about how humans behave in a crowd.
Alleged behavior. How many
observed behavior?
How many other times has this been tested?
So this has been tested constantly. This is for example.
Okay, I'm trying to find the list on the website here.
No, you can look up how you can look and learn, and learn more. This is part of
because this
is part how groups collect. So, for example, you have a group of, let's say, 100 to 300 people.
Okay. And I get how it
there
works.
is social decohesion that occurs after a certain number. That's what I'm speaking about. Social decohesion happens without order.
Which can grow.
Have you ever been to a 3-day metal festival?
I used to go to all sorts of raves a long time ago.
No.
Security for Hookah Fest.
This will be my only argument, I guess, against Luis's theory, because it actually still says it's a theory.
Well, it's not Luis's, but he's
the one he's brought up.
Yes, he did bring.
Yeah,
is because I've been in a 3-day metal festival, and you're probably around tens of thousands of people in that 3-day metal festival, and that's probably the safest fucking place on the planet.
But you're speaking about entertainment and a limited time scape.
But
you're not speaking about long-term governance and order.
Yeah, I still think it's the same
different things.
He's talking about a confined place where people are allowed to just be people without rules. And the default mode is that we take care of each other without violence. And I'm saying that individual responsibility...
Violence arises no matter what. Because we do have a tendency for violence. So violence not erupting.
Why do we have to?
Because of mental disorders, because of bad diets. There's a lot of reasons there's a tendency to violence.
It's not exclusively violence is not the default for most people.
Yes, it is not the default for most people. But the thing is, you still need to create defense mechanisms.
Yeah. Look, I've been in a situation where somebody was beating their wife openly in public. And you know how many people ran over there to separate them?
I have.
Almost everybody. Everybody was screaming. Immediately went to separate.
Good. Where are you? That's a good area. Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I expected you to say nobody.
Like it gets wild. I'm just saying, like, I've been in that situation, and the first thing people do is minimize the damage and minimize the violence openly. And I really believe that anarchy is our default mode, and we're taught to fear everything that we don't understand, and it's built into us. We're constantly being barraged.
Anarchy can work to a certain scale, and then
I think it's on
disintegrates. That's a thing. It doesn't work on a large scale.
Well, I'm just saying, I really think it
work
does.
in New York City, but it'll sure as hell work out here in Jackson, Georgia.
It can work when there's space.
It can work when the focus is taking off a centralized group of power and placed on the shoulders of the individual that are responsible for their own actions.
Yes, but it has to be a progressive scale. It can't happen overnight. I'm not in disagreement that we need to decentralize.
It's okay that we disagree.
I'm fully for decentralization, but the decentralization and absolute anarchy are two completely different things.
Anarchy is the best. It goes right back to the individual. The individual has always been in control of their choices.
But the thing is, the individual is stupid.
Well, that's your assumption that they're all stupid. I don't assume.
No, I'm not assuming that all.
I'm just saying. I think that people are far more capable than they even think themselves to be.
When the propaganda engine was on full drive and everybody was
propaganda
told to do
doesn't work
things.
on people that are informed and they recognize they have to make their own choices.
And what have they done?
You have all these anarchists that are fully capable of being cool people.
What did that man in the podium that looked very dark and red say? He basically called out another collective.
He did. And I'm not calling out any collective. I'm just saying that I will embrace anarchy every day, all day, more so than any other system that I've ever read, heard, or seen. Just saying, I would. And just like Teacher Bill, like he is a guy that is making people think. He's having them open their mind. He's having them recognize that you can change your perception based on not just how you feel, but like where your mind is. I mean, that's what I gather from what we've discussed so far. That's his MO is to make sure that he's thinking about the positive, he's being grateful, and he's not wasting any time
worried about that positive vibe, that smile that everybody needs every morning.
Oh, you about nailed it,
bro. Well, so far, that's all I've gathered so far. It's about being you and not worrying about the collective. And it's much harder to control a bunch of anarchists than it is a few collective sheep. So I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
I guess I have a weird. Okay, I flow very close to what you have been saying here, Stephen. Like that I fly pretty close. Me and you've had conversations about this and stuff, and I have minimalized my existence in the state as much as plausible, and there's interesting ways around things without having to do all of that sovereign citizen nonsense. Like I have my own opinions on that, but like there's interesting loopholes throughout all of these arbitrary writings.
Absolutely.
You know,
and it is disgusting that you have to force your child to have a social security number. I saw that person that got their child kidnapped by CPS because they didn't have a social security. I was like, what in the fuck is this nonsense?
But
that was disgusting. So that is disturbing.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's absolutely disturbing. Now I guess going back a little bit, I'd heard you make a comment about like intellectual property and like okay, this is one of those areas where I'm going to agree with Luis a little bit because I had to come out of pocket to protect my own ass when it came to like doing this show, for example. And I spent a lot of money to trademark and copyright things properly.
I was spent $6,000 getting trademarks.
You can, you can, and like there's a bunch of different levels for things and stuff like that. There is, but between like this goes back to even where I was at the earlier the thing. Like I never did any of this for fanfare. I did this for like conversations like we've had this evening and for voices that are silenced because we've had plenty of people on here that are no stranger to being banned. I mean you just as well. I know when you're banned on Facebook because you come popping up on my website. Like it works hand in hand and like it's that's a big reason when I started setting out to do this show and stuff that I was just like, well, I'm just going to be the silly host sitting in the bottom corner that's got some random shit to say from time to time. Because honest to God, you better be double checking everything I say because I'm dumb as hell. But like, I wanted it to have these heartfelt conversations like you two have had, where we're sure you guys do disagree, but you both recognize that you both make spectacular points from both ends.
And I totally respect Luis.
That in its
we're
own.
probably we likely agree on many things more. It's just at certain nuances where we disagree, and it's hard to find
that in its own shows that we can get through these arbitrary things though and sit here and laugh like we are right now, and actually go on and take this to focus on other things. Maybe even if it is just in your own neighborhood or your own street or your own town, depending on, like people like myself. I'm in small town USA. I'm pretty sure Steven's kind of in small town USA too.
The revolution needs to be local.
Yeah.
Well, revolution just needs to be everywhere. That's
local and online. But
local is what refines it to make it function.
Local is where you are, man. That's everywhere.
No, but the thing is, what I mean by it refines it is that the revolution happening in California is not the same revolution for people in Texas. Not the same revolution for people in Minnesota. It's not the same revolution for people in Georgia. Each version of the change will feel different.
I really think politicians through wood chippers is a very common thing that a lot of people could agree on. Just saying, they get to choose whether they go head.
Chippy is hungry.
That's it.
No, that's about map.
Mr. Chippy is definitely hungry for map.
Is there a difference though?
I mean, apparently not with that list going around.
I'm just saying.
Until that list is public, I go for, like that fighter to the other day. You're all pedophiles to me.
Hey,
that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Hey, how about that? Give it up to Gisela Maxwell. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records now. First person to ever be tried for child trafficking to no one.
Yeah.
To no one. Thousands of children to no one. She trafficked all those children to no one.
What is it that UFC fighter said we're supposed to be doing? We're supposed to be calling out Jimmy Kimmel?
No, they were with her. She gave them a ride, and then they were gone. They didn't go to anybody though.
She was certified. I believe she was a certified in submarines too. And guess who?
Bro. I still haven't seen those licenses or seen the applications for such things, but alleged, yes.
Well, what is true and is known is that her father was Mossad and a billionaire. So her having that is not at all out of the loop. She was rich since she was born.
Yeah.
And her family
hard to get.
Her family owns the textbooks in America.
Yeah, but that doesn't attribute to why she did what she did or who she did what she did to and for.
She was the mastermind. Epstein was the fucking puppet in front of it.
It's alleged, so yes. But how can you ever really know who the mastermind is?
Her dad was the mastermind and handed it down.
Maybe. It's been an ongoing thing.
But what I'm saying is, there's likely more proof that it was Ghislaine Maxwell who was doing most of the bad things, and Epstein was just a cover for her.
Yes.
Well, he had his hands in tons of other business.
He had his hand in it, but he was stupid in comparison to her.
Well,
he was way smarter than him.
That's an assumption based on what's being presented now. And as we all know, even with the internet being deleted, how fast things can change without an actual hard paper trail.
But you know something that didn't change? Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's most likely true as well. And pudding pants ain't the only pudding pants, just saying.
No. Luis will back you up here too. There's definitely different people up there that earlobes are the dead giveaway.
About it, and I looked it up myself, and sure enough, I'm like, dadgum.
The earlobes thing is like the biggest tell that I'm like, okay, there's something off here.
Yeah,
there's something really off about this narrative. I'm like, like the thing is, they were explaining potentially it's plastic surgery. But I'm like, show me another person that has so much plastic surgery that their ears changed. I would like to see it. It's possible.
Their ears changed from speech to speech.
This is the thing. I'm actually gonna ask a friend of mine who is a certified board plastic surgeon the possibility of the ears changing. I doubt it's minuscule.
I would want to know why it would need to be done.
Oh,
what kind of
no,
face
oh no, well, what I'm
surgery?
saying, well, the thing is, when you
Yeah.
do facelifts,
Yeah.
what's something that really does happen is you're
When you
moving parts of
remove
the body.
something. Yeah.
You're
when you
moving things
remove
around.
something.
So
Yeah.
you're moving things around a lot.
Yeah.
Now, would a surgeon just do like surgically like connect the ears? Makes it sound weird. So that's really what it comes down to, that's the true difference that is fundamentally questionable. Of course, Biden's had plastic surgery and facelifts. So did every other person in Congress and Senate that literally is in politics. Like 90% of them have had plastic surgery, except Bernie Sanders. That man is just like going all natural, but he can run. At least he can run. Biden can't even move 10 steps without falling.
Allegedly, if it is Biden.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, my question is like, then who is it? I love one person just said the theory. It's a shitty clone.
But what if it's a mask? Have you ever thought about that? That it's actually maybe someone else who's been president before?
Well, I think it's just literally a doppelganger. You know, they
yeah,
looked,
well, a body double. A body double.
It was like,
it's a body
you
double.
are national security. We're taking you in. You have to be quiet. This is what you're going to do.
No, that's the thing is, body doubles have been used before historically, more than once. So it's historically even a president.
Saddam had a crazy amount of them.
Saddam had 26.
had a bunch.
He had 26.
Yeah.
And Hillary Clinton had body doubles. They've found Hillary Clinton's body doubles.
Yeah,
they've seen them. And Obama also had a body double.
And the one was a redheaded chick. Saddam had so many body doubles. The one was a redheaded chick.
That's so weird. Oh, Saddam was actually, this is something from the military. So okay, it might not be true. But so when Saddam was put on trial, that was a body double and nobody was killed. What actually happened was when a U.S. soldier found him, instantly shot him. So what actually happened is they found him in that hole. They just shot him right there because Saddam came out with a gun, so he just shot him right there. So really? What actually likely happened is Saddam was found and killed instantly. They found him and they killed him right there on the spot. So the trial was like a show.
Well, to give people closure and, finalize a narrative that had been built up for decades.
And the main reason is because they were comparing Saddam, the person on trial, with Saddam, and they were like, there's some inconsistencies. And also, like, somebody from the military told me, no, they actually killed him instantly when they found him. They found him where they said they found him. Like, that's all true. They just killed him right there on the spot. And now Osama bin Laden's story. Now that's a real sketchy ass story.
That's a super sketchy
makes
story.
No fucking sense.
So you're saying they hung one of the body doubles?
No, they didn't hang anybody.
Well,
that was theater.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, it's what's alleged. Yeah.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
No, the footage. It's all theater.
But I still think you're making my point that government is terrible, and we just need to rip that Band-Aid off.
I'm all for resets. Look,
a reset implies you're putting something back. I'm saying don't put anything back at all.
Sure, but that's not what's going to happen. Because the thing is, human beings default to leaders, and that's something.
They have to have some sort of.
That's because
somebody to enforce them.
That's not what you've been told. It's just weirdly, anthropologically speaking, it always happens.
But that's
no matter how you.
They're conditioned to follow when they could be making their own individual choices. Is my point.
I mean, other primates show it too. There's always a head of the primate.
There's always This is just something that's genetically.
But we don't have to run in packs. We don't.
I understand what you're saying. I'm speaking from anthropological points. Not
but we don't have to be anthropological. We can be modern human.
But when you're speaking about large collectives, you have to.
No,
because you can't, because the large collective doesn't have the know-how to adapt fast.
Okay, but that's why we have people like Teacher Bill and Jim Bob and me who say, hey, it's okay to be you, and it's okay to not rely on a horrible collective who's going to steal from you.
Of course, but it happens progressively. It takes a very long time to.
It happens right away. It happens right away.
One thing that's happened over time.
I think there's going to be a bunch of balkanization.
Here's one thing that's happened over time.
A divorce is the easiest path.
It's become a norm to have a lawn, and that wasn't a norm.
That was
back
so
in the day.
Stupid.
That's the normalization.
It's a societal thing to show I don't have to raise my own food. I can go buy it from the store.
Yeah.
So many people have even forgotten how to even grow a fucking garden.
That's true.
Where if you just
That's
put a
very true.
small plot in your backyard, you could save us so much money and
Tomato
get
plants
so
are
much
nuts.
food out of just right out of your own yard.
And be so
But yet people don't
independent.
understand that. Exactly. And hey,
Yeah.
and share with your neighbors that can't do it. You know what I mean? There's
HOAs,
absolutely plenty.
HOAs are the devil. I
Here
hate
comes me
HOAs.
trying to be a happy medium again. If we have a lot of people that have that minded set like you do, Stephen.
Yeah.
All right. You guys, even like myself, are the kind of people that are going to be on like the outskirts of town. You know
And
what I'm
that's
saying?
okay. But I'm saying I'm not saying
there's
that you
going to
have
be some form of collective system when you get to places like New York City. Like
but it should be an opt-in collective.
yes.
That's what I'm saying. We don't need a centralized power of force that has a monopoly on violence.
That's why I think there's going to be balkanization.
No. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, hopefully, it is a peaceful transition.
How did the Balkans balkanize? I'll ask you that real quick. How did the Balkans balkanize?
How did the Balkans balkanize?
They ripped that Band-Aid off in a week is what they did.
Well, the thing is, it's going to happen in our scales relatively quickly. So it's still going to happen relatively quickly.
It also depends, I think, like on the collective's ability to maintain civility, even in the face of hunger and other external threats.
So that's the thing. For example, right now we're having a crisis of law and order, and this crisis of law and order is
it's all manufactured crisis.
Yes. No, that's what I'm saying. So this is a manufactured example in New York City. The district attorney declared things like, if I take a gun and I point it at a person and I say I'm going to shoot them, evidently that is not considered an assault.
Well, it sounds like everyone should just get guns and defend themselves.
But you can't.
Or New York City. I want Luis to get out of there so quick.
Yeah.
Hey, if Luis wants to choose to be there, that's his.
No,
he doesn't want to be there.
I'm currently stuck because of certain things. I'm moving.
Okay, but he chooses to stay there, and he believes that he's trapped there based on his situation. Just like
you don't know my situation, so I'm not going to go into that.
I don't, but I'm not trapped in Oklahoma City. I can go to any state and work,
and I will eventually move. It's just more of a scale of certain things need to be finished, and then things can move forward. There's a process.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that if you allow yourself to trap yourself, then you are trapped. If you allow yourself to be free and not be held by circumstances, because we're all held by circumstances, all of us. We all have a responsibility to our families and to ourselves to make the choices that benefit our family unit. And I understand that completely. But I'm just saying, don't blame it on your circumstances. Say maybe I have responsibilities that need to be fulfilled. Don't say you're trapped, because you're still making that choice to be responsible. Is what I'm saying.
No, yeah, that's
just don't let a circumstance hold you back from something. Is what I'm saying. Just like the government ripping that Band-Aid off. I mean, it is like a lighthearted thing to say, and I do realize that not everybody can function without someone telling them what to do. But there's a way that we can teach them. We free them. We say, hey, look, you can make your own choices. You can spend your mornings being grateful and meditating, and the next part of the morning you can go and tend the garden, weed it, if you have to.
The disturbing part is, and this is why I mentioned that if the Band-Aid's ripped off too quickly, absolute chaos reigns, is that there's already seeds of distrust and hate that have been fomented by propaganda.
Yes.
Example, what Bill experienced was the product of mass propaganda, because they've seen so many videos online of people being asked these stupid questions and these stupid narrative.
Okay.
And Bill was just trying to genuinely connect with the individual, just like by getting understanding of like, oh, I've never seen you here before. How long have you been here? Like, that's not a negative question to make.
No.
Especially because you're trying to connect. But the propaganda engine has made it so this one person that comes from one background makes an assumption.
No, but I believe that one individual had that perception of Bill, and that's what he thought he meant. He assumed what Bill meant by what he asked, and I think that's going back to that definitely propaganda. You're being trained to assume that everyone's out to vilify you or demonize you or murder you.
Well, bro, this was during the height of the white males are fucking racist Trump supporters that you got to watch out for. This is during the height of that shit.
That's that.
And I come up in my hall, camoed out, and I'm ready to go hunting and stuff in a great fucking mood. Hey, man, how you doing, man? Right on. Having a good day? All right. Hey, how long you been here?
Here's Bill just
I was born here, sir. Motherfucker.
Well, I might just high five
him. I asked you that, you motherfucker. Fuck.
But it's just that mentality. I think it's just that one individual that has a perception about people like Bill. And it's not anything to do with the general populace. I think that
the general population generally is thankfully very positive, and the United States. I'll say the United States has a very dark past. It's thankfully expanded and evolved faster than most countries in the world, beyond many countries in terms of speed. Because if you look at the rest of the world, comparatively speaking, the rest of the world is 10 times more hateful and vilifying than the United States.
Bro, there's still slavery in Africa.
There's still slavery in the United States.
Fuck. Yeah,
there's still slavery here, but the slavery is
everywhere.
What do you think?
And I agree with that.
All the crops.
I'm just saying, like, in general, if you go to any generic population anywhere, they're trying to live their life, and they don't need the oversight that they've been told that they need to have. And you say general chaos is going to rule as soon as we rip the Band-Aid.
I'll give you a perfect example of anarchy. Libya.
Okay. And what's that?
That's Libya. Libya is a perfect example of anarchy.
Well, I mean, a lot of the problems were solved by people who weren't going to put up with warlord shit. And,
Libya is a perfect example of anarchy in the 21st century.
Well, okay, I can't say that everyone in Libya is going to behave like everyone in the United States, and I also won't say.
You saw what happened in Libya when anarchy took over. Slave markets started to form.
Yeah, because those people didn't stand up for themselves and eliminate the people enslaving them.
You're going to blame those people that were enslaved? That's what I'm saying. It's not so simple. It's like that's what I'm trying to tell you. The anarchy.
He just blamed the people enslaved.
No, I'm just saying, like, there is modern examples of anarchy not working at all. It just doesn't work. Like outwork anarchy. There's different styles of anarchy, though.
Okay, but isn't the only reason Libya is in the shape that it is today is because of American intervention to begin with?
French, American,
because of the
Italian
CIA interference. Yeah,
the French and the Italians were very much involved as well. But yes, because they were pushing for the gold dinar, which was a unification of certain North African nations in order to sell oil to external countries in the form of gold. That was the main agenda of Gaddafi.
Their oil industry to drive competition.
They were trying to change the things. I mean, Gaddafi was not a good guy either. Well, I'm not going to give Gaddafi, but he did keep that country very stable, considering how unstable and how fast it got unstable.
Well, I mean, you can keep something stable through any amount of tyranny, including our own government to us. And the populace could have said no thanks and abolished that tyranny as well. Just saying. It works the same way. It works all
but you're excluding guns out of the equation. You're excluding weapons and guns out of the equation and people not wanting to use them. That's the thing. You're excluding guns and weapons. People are going to use them.
Hey, if people don't have guns, they're going to be using knives and machetes. If they don't have knives and machetes, they're going to be using sticks. If they don't have sticks, they're going to be using narwhal tusks. It's happened.
You forgot the spork, good sir.
Just saying.
Never forget the spork
as well.
Never forget the spork.
You're better
you could
off
end a life with a spork, bro.
Just using the
spoon fork.
Luis, don't even tell me you don't know what a spork is. Come on,
it's a spoon
bro.
fork. It's just I'm trying to think which is the most efficient spoon fork design. The one KFC gives you in the plastic container.
Well, they used
only the one real shitty one with the little tiny 4 teeth at the bottom of the spoon.
Yeah. And as soon as you put it in mac and cheese, it'll bend.
Fuck yeah.
Mac and cheese noises?
Yeah.
Mac and cheese. That was the food of the poor, now glamorized.
Well, how can you say what's for the poor and what's for the rich? How can you really stigma even food?
It's not.
Oh well,
it was made out of cheap materials. That's what I'm speaking about. It was the food of the poor.
Lobster.
Not stigmatizing.
Lobster was a prison food.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
food.
lobster was a prison food. It was fed to the prisoners. But they realized how fucking good it was, and after they got out, they still wanted it. So then it became something where, oh man, that's sought after. I mean, it was actually fed to prisoners first, like fucking chicken wings.
Chicken used to be a junk food too. Chicken in general.
Chicken wings was a scrap food. But one dude in Buffalo, a bar owner, said, "You know what? I want to try to serve something different other than nuts." And he got these for free, so he just threw them in the fryer in the back, threw them up. They were a fucking hit.
I've actually ate at the Anchor Bar, the place where they originated.
But a lot of the more famous foods nowadays were considered moved for the poor food.
Yes.
Oxtail, which is fucking phenomenal and shit. Ribs was a poor food. You know what I mean? That was for the hands, the people that were
the leftovers,
for the landowners. Fuck yeah.
But these are more natural foods. Mac and cheese is like synthetic.
That's well, if you're using
my bad.
ingredients, but pasta keeps a long time. It's just a way to store your excess flour by making pasta.
Yes, it's just and the problem is our flour now is what Americans use for flour is the sourcing is bad. It has chemicals.
Unless you're getting European flour.
There's versions of flour that have to be found outside of the US that don't have chemicals, and that's what the ones people don't react. For example,
or you could grow your own
have
wheat,
gluten intolerance. They don't have a gluten intolerance. They have glyphosate intolerance.
Well, it's also what goes into the soil that comes up through the plant and gets distributed as well. So again, you could grow your own wheat and make your own flour, and you know exactly what went into it. You could be a totally independent, responsible individual and not reliant on others to poison you. Because no amount of the FDA is going to save you.
True, but at the same time, also, what is it? There is not enough arable land to feed the world through that idea. Essentially, the way it's currently structured works for a reason. So you couldn't say that, oh, we're going to go back to a different model if we completely separate from the current model that feeds the world. Millions upon, if not hundreds of millions
as
of
people a collective, we can't be. Yeah, you're saying there's not.
It's just about. It's just about
each individual is capable.
But it's about the scale of the economics of scale. So if
according to whom? Who says it's not possible?
There's a really great video that is how expensive it is to make a sandwich.
Okay.
That's a wonderful video. Like I can look up. It shows like it'll cost that. So basically, they break down all the ingredients of the sandwich to its bare point of like how you would need to source it. And it was like I think $1,200 to make a sandwich. If you were to break down to do it all yourself, like all of it yourself, how to build a toaster, like all of it yourself, it was insanely expensive.
Or you could just use a stone with a fire under it. I mean, you want to go with a modern toaster, sure. You got to go mine that tungsten. You got to build a filament. You got to mix it with carbon steel. You got to build a back plate. You have to generate the electricity. Or you could just use a stone with fire underneath it to make toast.
But how did you get the?
That's how you get.
This person literally from scratch made it in 6 months. It took them 6 months to make.
According to a standard of modernization with industrial everything behind it, or is it by the simplest means? Because there's a lot of people in Mexico that make tortillas and fajitas for way less than $1,200. So I just saying.
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay,
but also those people have access to certain parts of the supply chain. What this video
they supply a lot of their own stuff, or they trade for parts that they need. That's all.
Yes, but the whole point of the video is explaining
we don't need a we to collectively decide that we are going to go back to a certain model. When the individual,
who was the audience base, or like the person that did it? Was it like somebody that lives like straight up in a high rise in the city and has never been outside?
I posted in the chat. You can check it out later. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. It's going to be with. I'll put it with this episode
because it goes into like how do you source the honey? How do you source this? How do you? He's explaining part by part.
Okay, all right.
How do you source everything?
I'm not trying to be controversial, but I want to understand. Like, hey,
he kills the chicken too. Like he wants a chicken sandwich, so he kills the chicken. Yeah. He just explains the whole breakdown of every single.
It sounds like somebody who's trying to discourage independent capability. by
No, he
saying,
just
"Oh, it's so hard and expensive to do."
no, it's just showing economics of scale.
Okay, I guess when other people watch it, they'll make their own informed
Yeah,
opinion.
no, he breaks it down every part. It's just like
According to him, yeah, his perception of what it takes to get there.
Sounds
With
like
his
communism to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say it's any kind of communism. I'm just saying.
Goddamn
when people own the
communism,
means of
telling you
production,
right now.
everything will be
Yeah.
fine.
Well, I mean, that's kind of true, though. That's
Marx
like I
was a
said, the
Frankist.
best lie's a half truth. So that's what I hear.
Communism
Anyway.
only works in a system where there is infinite abundance, and
Marx
that
was
is
a
not correct.
Frankist.
Everyone's a
Don't
Frankist.
speed, don't you, comrade? That's who is that? Come on, that's John Wayne. Is a Russian.
Oh God.
Well, don't speed,
Well-
don't you, comrade?
I'm just saying.
But what? See what I did there?
Yeah. But I also think that we're all far more capable of so much more, and we're just not
Of course,
challenged to go do it.
But you can't do everything, and that's why
How do you know? You know me?
I'm talking about
Ladies.
the individual cannot do everything. I'm speaking about the individual. I'm not speaking about you.
I know what I know from my own experience. I know that.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about the everyday person.
The everyday person is just as capable as I
Majority
am.
of the public is basically what it is.
So the human
Majority
race
of
has
the public.
exploded it exponentially in our evolution as a society, in
Yeah.
technology and everything else. It's because of specialization. Now there is a cost to this,
An
and
alleged
we're
cost.
noticing the cost, and the cost is what you're talking about. We're not talking
But
about
that's
you're
an
literally
alleged-
supporting the point.
Yeah, but I am open. I choose to share my knowledge freely. I'm a big, huge user of Linux. And
Hey, you better say that.
just
fucking
saying.
thing. That was
Yeah.
funny as fuck, bro. You know.
But it's about sharing the information. It's about taking a community project and working on it, but you have a choice to use it. You have a choice to modify it. You have a choice to submit your changes. It is a community operating system, and I think that's great.
And Bill Gates did a lot of work to ensure people didn't get into Linux. And if it wasn't for people like Bill Gates, we'd probably be using all Linux.
Bill's not going to stop us, man. I'm just saying.
No. I'm talking about Linux has exploded. Like Linux is bigger now than ever before.
Well,
I'm not
more specifically the operating systems that use.
I'm speaking
Linux
about when Linux was coming up. Bill Gates actively did a lot of things.
Yeah.
To prevent it from getting. I'm talking about what happened.
Apple did the same thing.
Apple's actually based partially on Unix and Linux, like, and partially based on systems that are related to Linux.
The Mac OS is based on BSD, and they have a license for BSD Unix. And Linux ideas and software have been integrated over time into that licensed BSD Unix that Apple uses. And Bill Gates and he has utilized a few things here and there, but it's always been reverse engineered so they don't have to follow the GPL. And you can find that all throughout Mac OS. And they utilize the same shell, the bash shell, and it's licensed through BSD Unix. And that's what they use. So it's not open and free. You can't tune your mock kernel and without consequence, where you can tune your Linux kernel. Because Linus Torvalds had this great idea. It's like, hey, this is really great, but I think the world deserves this more than I deserve a paycheck. And that's what he did.
The thing is, once
you make a choice.
Once we can once building microchips becomes
Bill doesn't control everything.
No, I'm not talking about Bill Gates. I'm not talking about Bill Gates.
I'm just saying.
I'm talking about microchips themselves, like the boards. Once there's more of an evolution, for example, on RISC-V and other architectures that are now open source. Well, that's really going to change the outlook of technology.
RISC-V is built on the principles of original RISC. I mean, ARM is RISC, MIPS is RISC. All of these chip manufacturers have that intellectual property cores locked up. And the only reason that open source processors prosper is because people choose to use those because they know they can use it.
And that's the thing. Now there's like 35 companies building on open source products, and eventually it'll be 100 companies. And eventually in like 15 years. But that's a choice.
The market chooses to use and buy
those. And that's the thing. The market's developing it. That's the positive. The market's slowly creating the option. Because right now, really, TSMC...
It's an uphill battle. You know why it's an uphill battle?
Oh, that's
government regulation. Just saying.
I mean, that's true.
Government control.
All comes back to government, bro. It all comes back to government.
It all leads back to a centralized power that controls everything, that is funded by corporations.
Like a
it
fucking
all
circle,
goes back
dude.
to the same thing.
Circular, man.
Really
and I'm
is.
about MIPS. I love me a good pipeline MIPS processor. I think that's the greatest technology that we've ever developed. It runs almost every single Wi-Fi device that's not ARM powered. It's everywhere, all throughout. The PlayStation 1 was MIPS. The PS2 was a 256-bit MIPS processor that was a dual pipeline 128-bit processor is what it was.
Oh, the PS2 was a fun wonder because damn, what thing useful and so compact. They got it like this small.
Yeah. And they were actually regulated on how much RAM bus RAM they could put in it because the government was afraid people would use them.
Yes, I remember this.
This is a real thing. The government stepped in and limited how much RAM the system could have.
Yeah,
because they were afraid what people would do with it.
They were afraid that they would be utilized for supercomputers,
which it still can
in order for bad actors to do it.
You have to have a special encryption key to unlock the full processor, and that's not something distributed from Sony.
The PlayStation 3 was used by the Air Force.
Yeah, the PlayStation 3 processor is the IBM Cell engine, and it's one of the most phenomenal PowerPC processors. And again, the memory was the RAM, the physical RAM on the system was limited by regulation, not by Sony's choice. And they use the same IBM Cell processors in the Lenovo and IBM Blade Centers. You could stack an entire blade full of these multi-core cell broadband engine processors, and they use them for weather modeling mostly.
I mean,
and you can still buy that same cell type or PowerPC architecture on a single board computer. That's more powerful than that.
And that's
you can add as much RAM to it.
I'll only say this: with artificial intelligence and the rise of it, there's two outcomes: a very positive outcome and a very negative outcome. I think we're going to go for the positive.
Well, I mean, there's going to be both because
there's going to be, but like I think overall the positive will outweigh the negatives that come.
You would hope that artificial intelligence would choose a more positive path. Yes, because we innately as humans are positive by nature.
Yeah, they'll save some of us.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Rocco's Basilisk?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying it's not just one system.
Oh, Bill. So Rocco's Basilisk is the belief that there is a future artificial intelligence. This future artificial intelligence is measuring how every human being that is alive in the time frame that it exists, what it did in order to help it come to fruition and come to existence. If you worked against its creation, it will torture you when it becomes online. If you did the right thing, I'm bastardizing the story, but I'm simplifying it. If you did the right thing, it will treat you like amazingly well. Yeah. So
there you go.
But it's a weird thing that came on the internet. And I remember my friend telling me like 5 years before it came on, I was like, where the hell did you come up with it? And he's like, oh, I just thought about it one day. And I'm like, then the internet came up with it. I was wondering if he actually invented it, because he's written a lot of books and never said who wrote them.
Well, I mean, there's nothing new
the mystery writer.
We relive the same series of everything. So it's possible it existed in the past and it's just carried through genetic memory. You know?
Well, I honestly think that one's going to come about and just, weed out the healthiest, best stock, regardless of who you are, how much money you have, anything. You just wipe out the rest.
Yep.
It's like a prime directive of make sure humanity survives.
How can you measure what is healthy, though?
The computer is going to have its own
like
scale.
You would a cow or something. I don't know.
Okay, again, what's the cow
your
getting?
Heart rate and everything, all that, your genetics, all that.
I think that your genes play a small role and your environment plays a much larger
Steven.
role.
You're fucked.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm probably fucked too.
He works with computers. He's likely going to be treated well by Roscoe.
Hey, trust me, man. I speak respectful as fuck to my Alexa. Alexa, what was your day today?
My mom does too.
You should probably look into not having one of those. Just saying.
Oh yeah. No, you can build your own with a Raspberry
Yeah.
Pi.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh god damn it! I need to just really reprogram my Raspberry Pi. But it's a good project to just work out because the Raspberry Pi Zero will do it now. The $5, $6 ones will be
Yeah.
able to do it. You just need to get the speaker, and you can have your own smart speaker in your house. It will not be as fast, but that's pretty much it. It would just will not be as quick, and you can also block out all the ads. You can WRT, is it the one of the plugins you can put into many routers,
Yeah.
and you can
You can use
block out most ads.
WRT, or you can use DDWRT. There's also Tomato, and I think they all have ARM variants now that'll run on Pi.
Yeah, you can also have a Pi running your router, but that's a little more complicated than most people.
Right, but going back to what you were saying, that the AI would treat you well or not, it's okay to make the hard right choice or the hard correct choice and deal with the consequences of a tyrannical overlord. Or you can just follow your most basic instinct and take the route of less resistance. But there's a lot of hunters on game trails for a reason. So what your choice of survivability is all up to you in the end.
Yeah.
Whether there's an AI influencing your choice.
I do like the yogurt theory from that Love, Death, and Robots. I love that story. Have you ever seen it?
No, I've not seen that one.
So there's a series on Netflix that's like a lot of short movies called Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I have seen that.
Good one.
But the yogurt story is the funnest story. It's the most positive, weirdly most positive. Yeah, it's on the first season. And weirdly enough, Netflix changes the order of those movies based on fair use.
Okay.
So I could tell you it's the fourth one. So Netflix, that particular group of short movies,
based on
Netflix changes the order of how they're presented to you based off how you use Netflix. So that's kind of strange. So you'll get a different order to other people.
Episodes. I've seen a few of the Love, Death, and Robots, but I have not seen all. This
in season 1, you'll see the yogurt one. It's it's cool, and it's 6 minutes.
Okay, yeah, they're great short films. They're interesting. Some of them are a little bit out there, but yeah,
exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about like how we create art is that it's about an exploration of what can be. And that's the beautiful thing about what art is. It's
the perception of the artist being able to share that vision with the world.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of beautiful thoughts can get propagated exponentially through the consciousness and the awareness of the collective. It's through art. That's why art is so important. But slowly we've been taking art out of schools. We've been dismantling art out of the equation, and that's one of the most dangerous things.
You don't need schools to teach art. Unless it's an art school, then obviously that's its one job.
I of course I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about the public school system in the United States. I'm not talking.
Well, there's no required dependency. You can go to a park bench and sketch. It doesn't cost you anything except for the materials and the time. You don't need school.
But you're coming from the perception that everybody has
my favorite art sighting is train cars. Some of the graffiti on train cars is just immaculate and just amazing to look at.
Tagging is a phenomenal art, and it's sad that they go to the length to potentially damage someone else's property, but at the same time, like I've seen murals that almost made me cry, and it's just.
But I would say that's the thing. There's scales to that, right? Yeah. And there's like the garbage tagging, and then there's like the art.
It's still the art.
So there's a scale to it.
But there's a certain amount of respect for someone else's property that people should understand. And if somebody even wants to get, if somebody wants to express themselves, they could at least just ask or maybe get paid to do them.
So that actually does happen here.
Yeah.
That actually happens here. What happens is you get a muralist to do their wall, and you have a beautiful. There's a few literally by me like this where I live. There's a bunch of murals. Like people from different parts of the world literally come to see the freaking murals because there's a fuck ton of them. Yeah. Because the way they did is they worked together with artists, and they were like, okay, we have this group of artists. This is their work. Would you want to tag your walls? So it's interesting. Like there's a lot of art, and the problem is when the taggers come in and destroy it. That's when people get really pissed off.
But again, like you can't control every aspect of everything. And if
just don't ruin a piece of art with a stupid tag of yours.
Oh yeah, but it's like, you know what type of person they are, and they put their name to that, then you already know what kind of person they are by what they do. So, and that gives an opportunity for something new to come. And yeah, a lot of people missed out on it, but that's what cameras are for too. You can still enjoy it if you share and keep that memory alive. So
yeah,
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Tonight. I think has been a really exciting conversation. I think you two have made some phenomenal points from either side of your argument there. Teacher Bill, you have been an absolute blast and a joy to
Right
laugh
on.
with this evening. Like I don't think anybody should ever tell you any difference. If you don't laugh with hanging out with this man, then I think you're the problem
Oh,
because
you are the fucking problem.
he has just been a joy this evening too. On top of all this, I really think that this was a really good conversation. I do. Like you both made great points that I think are going to make people think about things, and that's important. It's important to me, and I think it's important to people that this message is going to reach because that's just the way that I roll with things like that. So, of course, before I get ready to wrap up for the evening, I always like to go around and ask anybody if there's anything that they'd like to speak on or plug before we close out. And Teacher Bill, I want to start with you this evening. Is there anything we didn't hit too hard or anything you'd like to say before we sign off for tonight?
No, I mean, each and every day is an absolute blessing. Never forget that. It's an absolute blessing. It's never a guarantee. So today was an absolute blessing. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, but if you get it, remember it's a blessing. And make it what it is. Stay focused on the positive. You want to follow me, you can follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Clapper, a few different places. But under Teacher Bill, all one word.
Of course, you guys know I'll get you guys back to the links that I have for them because that's just how we roll here. That there'll be links attached to the episode so that you guys can go check out Teacher Bill's work for yourself. I find it inspirational and it makes me happy. And when I seen he followed me, and I immediately followed him back when I seen the follow because I was just like, yeah, it's like I like the way this guy talks and thinks, and I need him over here. So. Steven, you got anything else you want to touch before we leave, before we sign off?
I just want Luis to know, man, mad respect for you and what you
all
bring,
good.
as well as Jim Bob and Teacher Bill. I'll definitely be checking more of your stuff out because I'm
thanks,
always
brother.
interested in that attitude of gratitude. I always want to try and I definitely need more of that. I think we all need more of that. So I'll definitely be checking out your stuff, man. So
Right on, brother.
Luis, you got anything for me tonight, buddy?
Bill's got the right ideas. Let's all follow Bill's blessings of how we should think about your lives. And I love that just chat with you, Steven, today. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was cool listening to you guys, man. You guys get some deep shit, man. Like deep, man. Like it was cool though. It was cool listening because I caught on to some of it. A few things I was like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck, But I'm like, yep, right on. I can dig that. I can dig that. Oh, I like where you're coming from there. I never thought of it that way. And knowing that I've never even fucking heard of it, but it's cool. I went with it. Roll with it, babe. Roll with it. It's good times. Love it. You guys are good, man. It was fun.
No, I mean, and I appreciate all of you that joined us this evening, and I couldn't ask for a better group, I think, for this evening with tonight's conversation and some of the stuff that we covered covered on tonight. And I'm glad that these guys made you think. I hope that they made each other think, and I know they made me think. But before I sign out for tonight, you guys know I gotta always ask you a good question to sign out for myself. So, what happened when Blackbeard fell overboard into the Red Sea? Anyone? He got marooned. Thank you guys. You have a great night.